I think that the most important takeaway from that first phone call between the two presidents was that it happened at all. Um, and what I mean by that is that foreign policy analysts tend to view international relations as driven by great objective forces and national interests and geography and things like that. We tend to forget that for heads of state, diplomatic relations are very personal. They take each other's measure. They click or they don't click. They make assessments about whether the other guy is going to help or hurt what they're trying to do at home and in the world. And so what we saw with this phone call is that whether or not Biden and Putin like each other personally, and from what I understand, they don't like each other very much personally. They each decided that they have to deal with each other, at least on some things, and that's significant. It was clearly the most important substantive aspect of the phone call, and it's an area where I think both Presidents Biden and Putin believe that the United States and Russia have a common interest in agreeing on some rules of the game that could help to govern and stabilize the great power competition, as we've come to call it, between Russia and the United States, and also contribute to world stability. The background of all of this is that that host of Cold War and early post-Cold War agreements that governed the security relationship between Washington and Moscow have almost all gone away. New START was really the last significant bilateral security agreement that remained on the docks. And we also haven't had new ones that have arisen to adapt to the new challenges that we're facing today, like advanced non-nuclear weapons and space security and cyber competition. So by extending New START, what the United States and Russia are doing is buying some time to address these new challenges. Now, addressing these new challenges is going to be difficult, in my view. They're very complex. We're going to have to be creative in how we address them. I don't expect any new agreements anytime soon that would succeed New START. But I think extending New START is a necessary prerequisite to those negotiations and new agreements. Well, I think to answer that question, I would highlight the differences between the White House and Kremlin press releases about the phone call. The White House provided really a one-paragraph summary, pretty short. It noted both the extension of New START, and then it went on to list all of what it called the issues of concern that Biden raised with Putin. And that included Ukraine, the solar winds attack, the poisoning of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, Russian election interference, and he even raised, according to the summary, the alleged Russian bounties paid for killing US soldiers in Afghanistan. And what that tells me is that Biden is doing exactly what his campaign promised he would do in policy toward Russia. His spokesman, back before the November election, said that he would confront a Russian aggression from a position of strength and at the same time work to maintain strategic stability. So these are two things that are in tension with one another. And Biden looks to be betting that we can cooperate on the things we want to cooperate on, like strategic arms control, and still confront and even clash over things that the US doesn't like about Russia, like issues over democracy and on the geopolitical orientation of states in between NATO and Russia, like Ukraine. The Kremlin readout was really much different. It was a lot lengthier. It devoted 2 full paragraphs to the extension of New START. and to the sides what it called mutual responsibility for maintaining security and stability in the world. And then it went on not to raise all those issues of concern that Russia had about the United States and its behavior. It went on to talk about what it called opportunities for cooperation. And it listed things like trade and economic matters, the coronavirus pandemic, the Open Skies Treaty, which, as you might recall, the US withdrew from, or said it was going to withdraw from a few months ago. The JCPOA agreement with Iran, Ukraine, and Putin's call for a special summit meeting of the UN Security Council permanent members. So it was a much different tone, and I think it reflected a much different assessment of the importance of this bilateral relationship in Washington on the one hand and Moscow on the other. So what conclusion can you draw from all of that? I think we have a situation where the United States is fairly narrowly circumscribing the areas where we can cooperate and focusing in particular on strategic arms control issues. And it has a fairly wide range of areas where we're going to be confronting Russia. And I don't think that bodes very well for how much hostility we're going to have in the bilateral relationship. Making progress on strategic arms control right now is going to be difficult. The issues are very complex. It's going to take a long time for us to achieve agreements or breakthroughs. That list of things that we're unhappy about with Russia is long and it's in motion. Things like the Navalny poisoning, his arrest, the onset of street protests in Russia, the situation in Belarus. These are all delicate issues with a great degree of likelihood that the United States and Russia are going to clash. And I think managing to walk this line between narrow areas of cooperation and lots of areas of hostility and potential confrontation is going to be difficult.